Is Amber Ogia controlling the Rovanaganders? Hi! Rewatched most of the Ben 10 shows and noticed something while watching Omniverse. A thought occurred to us when we started digging. Why are the Rovanaganders so obsessed with Amber Ogia? First off, what is Amber Ogia? We have to start with what the show gives us. It's a plant that grows in rocks, has massive berries that have the consistency of melting jello, with a skin that pops easily, makes furniture, clothes, and fuel, and has mind-controlling abilities. The temperate climate of the planet allows them to grow it year-round. We suspect that it is that is 90% fructose, aka fruit-flavored sugar, hence the jello-y consistency. Rocks are rich in minerals, but not much in the way of nutrients, so it is not packing much vitamins either. That is counteracted by using fertilizer. Fertilizer from large rodents that mostly eat Amber Ogia.
Muroids?
The rodents. We use their droppings to fertilize the crop.
So it does not add much, if anything. The jello-like berries are full of water, which is expected for a rock-growing plant. It absolutely has little to no fiber, protein, or micronutrients. The only fiber in it is found in the stems and roots, neither of which are eaten. It also has a chemical in it that is highly addictive and another that is highly flammable. Possibly the same chemical, not sure. With cultivation comes selection. Not only would they have gotten larger fruit, but also higher doses of the chemicals, causing them to plant more and burn longer. The berries don't have high amounts of the mind-altering chemicals, so they just also have to eat a large amount of it for it to have an effect, which they do, every day. This is why it had to be highly concentrated to become a mind-controlling drug. Ben is unaffected due to eating very little of it in the episode. He already lives off a high sugar diet, so when he likes it, that means it is somewhat to very nice flavor. We suspect that the seeds are free floating, really tiny and edible, hence to why Rook just shoves it in his face. So, off the bat, just the fruit as a food is pretty bad for them, but it gets worse. What it physically does to the people. Before we start this off, I just want to point out that the animators forgot what shape the Rovannaganders were supposed to be, so they used human templates and slapped Rovannagander features on them, hoping no one would notice, instead of using Rook as a template. Which, like they should have. It's just so dumb! The Rovannaganders are supposed to be very thin, energetic people with very little fat and massive appetites. This is normal for people hyped up on liquid sugar and poor nutrition. Their bodies are practically starving. Rook very quickly becomes the exception. After he leaves his home world at a young age to become a plumber, he is quickly introduced to new foods. He appears stronger and healthier, even more so as an adult. They're designed to eat anything and everything to make it thanks to their teeth and high metabolism. As they're also very cat-like.
I control cats!
Yes, and I am cat-like, but no.
They're supposed to have a high protein diet, so you would think that they would do that, but no. To counteract that high sugar entering their bodies, they would needed larger or very active pancreases producing large amounts of insulin. If their blood sugar gets too low, like healthy human levels, they would likely pass out, which probably explains why Rook was picked to hang out with Ben. Ben would keep him alive by just feeding him smoothies all the time. And they recognize that they have to have large amounts of food, but don't recognize the signs of an unhealthy diet thanks to several hundred years of eating nothing but edible orange napalm. They are never meant to eat just one thing. Remember when we said that it was highly flammable? They eat it every day. Unless something in their digestive system can neutralize it, they are literally walking dynamite sticks. Their blood and pee would be the highest concentrations and explode if exposed to open flame. But as they're naturally supposed to have a varied diet, this would not be in their genetic code. Rook has unintentionally cleared out his system within the last few years by eating everything others label as food. Everything.
I cannot believe it is not Tiffin.
Barbecue-style mini rice cakes? Dude, couldn't you find any food?
I am sorry, Ben, but apparently humans are making healthier choices. And there is hardly any off-world food at all.
I know Fistrix's next move. A robbery at Billion's Tower.
Bauer?
Sorry, what? The words coming out of your mouth look like meatballs.
There is an entire episode where there are entire episodes where he obsesses over a new food. He also states that his grandma used to cook whatever the plumbers... his grandma made this special dish that only made sense if a plumber brought it in. And introduced it to her, thereby varying his diet at a young age. Another side effect of eating the edible napalm is that it makes their brains more susceptible to chemical attacks. Rook is the only one affected when Fistrix's testosterone toxin is floating through the vents.
Bro, I am 110% awesome, right, bro?
Well, yes, he is. Except for the toxin flooding his temperamental lobe.
Temperamental lobe?
The part of the Rovannagander brain that governs personality.
It only affects the personality center of the brain, which makes sense if that is what the Amber Ogia attaches to, explaining to why the people take on the personality of the nut jobs controlling them, unlike with other mind control chemicals.
I will, provided you do your job as leader. And I use the term loosely.
Are you all right, Rookshar?
Is that what the incursion sprayed in the fields?
What? You're a fool.
The incursions don't have a thing to do with our little planet, and I use the term loosely.
Johnny, stand up and go to the water table.
Premier, I believe the present danger can be averted if we act swiftly.
Go to your right pocket.
We designed it for Pegasus.
Well, it's too bloody late now. Just act natural.
The Rovannaganders have a very stagnant culture. Their lives revolve around this one plant, plus their tails falling off. Hundreds of years they have been eating, growing, and spreading it. They have literally wiped out hundreds of ecosystems just to farm this one plant. Almost every stone formation on their planet is unnatural and carved. The entire planet.
Ben is right. I fear that our people may not fare well in an invasion.
The Miroids, they could not wipe out because they lived underground for months on end and are faster than a Rovannagander. About half of the insect population survive thanks to limited technology and their bare minimum needs, locusts being the biggest group.
Locust!
Oh! Ow! Ah! Hey! Stop him! Hey! Good guy!
You can tell that they had a more diverse planet because of the plants that they still have. Short grasses, mosses, trees, bushes, shrubs, and grains. Moss doesn't get in the way of the Amber Ogia and is softer than the rocks they grow on, so they let that stay. Or occasionally trees and bushes, which they turn into farm tools and mix with Amber Ogia resin to make homes. The grain they use to make dough for some of their dishes. It's the main source of nutrients and fiber they have. Young One mentions a salad at one point, so they have a possibility of some vegetables. It is why none of them are dying from malnutrition on the regular.
Where is the rest of the food? The drinks, salads, pies?
Their body shape indicates that they were really good tree climbers and long-distance runners. The tails are prehensile, which is awesome for climbing trees, but useless for farming. Their technology only expanded to help grow more Amber Ogia, but is not very well made. Their farming implements make better weapons and look like they are meant for grain, not giant fragile berries. Plus, the silos are poorly designed as well. They stand on 3 legs and are not very big. If an earthquake strikes, they will lose the entire harvest. They have little to no advances in scientific, technological, medical, artistic, or psychological fields. It is only farm what you eat, eat what you farm, every single day. Even the eating utensils are badly made. Cutting your tongue on the spoon and stabbing your face with a corkscrew fork would lead to a lot of unnecessary injuries. The back scratcher looks more like a utensil than the utensils. Their weapons are sticks that shoot flaming Amber Ogia. They use flames to protect flammable food. Truly a great design choice. The only thing they kept from before Amber Ogia took over is their martial arts, which may have been developed to fight wars over the control of the Amber Ogia, or even before that. Once everything is wiped out and they become peaceful, it becomes impractical, but they still practice and use it, because tradition.
In ancient times, the Rovannaganders masters would break rocks with their bare hands, just as I will break you.
Frankly, your tradition seems somewhat arbitrary.
Stonecutter!
Char! No!
Blanco!
Most of their traditions only go back 100 or so years.
It is the opening of the harvest. For millennia, my people have launched fires during the harvest to fend off the mindless, crop-destroying rodents.
Your Earth friend is breaking stone that stood for 100 lifetimes.
They have very little history going past that, like it was erased or forgotten. The only reason you do not see skeletons of long-gone animals is because they had to grind up the bones for fertilizer and most got destroyed during the planetary reshaping, or buried, which would only take 30 years or so, plenty of time to forget. And lastly, they have no music. Even the most primitive cultures have music.
Let the wedding commence!
They have a harvest festival where all they do is stand around and no music or dancing. Every other planet has music, especially during celebrations. They do not make musical instruments, at least you would think that they sing, but they do not. The only time you are not supposed to hear music is during an observance ceremony, where silence is important. But before you comment, every festival on Earth has music going on in the background.
Hey, look, Rook! I'm the Harvest King! More like the Harvest Queen! You?
It's also noted that the entire planet seems to have a small population. There is no major cities and all the land masses look the same. Everyone is heavily spread apart and communities are small. In the village Rook lives in, there's less than 100 people. For a people to survive with very little inbreeding, there needs to be 100 or more. It's also noticeable that there are not a lot of kids. The adults are not making enough babies to stabilize the population, and as they are all farmers, this is really bad. Since Amber Ogia is their main food source, they are missing important things from their diets that would help fight diseases and heal faster. Amber Ogia is high in sugar, which would lower one's immune system and cause yellowing of the teeth. As they do not need to grind their teeth down, this is more likely to be, like rodents, this is more likely to be due to poor oral hygiene caused by the sugars, which does lead to gingivitis, cavities, tooth loss, and death via nasty bacteria getting into the bloodstream through cracked teeth. With the lowered immune system, it would only take a simple cold to cause a deadly plague in a village. There is also the fact that the excessive eating of it would wipe out large amounts of the population of those without enlarged pancreases. They would die very easily of diabetes. Ketoacidosis would be hard to spot due to already having fruity breath from the fruit itself. Ketoacidosis is fatal without treatment within 72 hours, which they would try to fix with Amber Ogia. Because medicine, herbs, and hospitals are not existent, this makes fixing most medical issues almost impossible. They rarely get past the age of 50 for these many reasons. Actually, that would kind of explain why his parents are so old, because their grandma made them eat other food. So, if the people were not supposed to eat it, who was? The Meroids. Their homes are naturally underground in caves, and they typically only come out at night. The rodents are also really sloppy eaters, which spreads the seeds, eating it all in one go. Because they live near caves, that's where all the rocks are. That's the natural habitat of the plant. Does that make sense? This means that harvest time is the only time they eat it. As they are quite large, it makes sense that Amber Ogia is not the only thing they eat. But because the Rovannaganders wiped out a lot of stuff, there is not much choice. forcing them to eat more Amber Ogia. It is highly likely that the rodents only eat the Amber Ogia for its sugar and water content, as they are really bad at gathering these things. Their bodies likely turn the chemicals into something else to aid in fat storage, mating rituals, or child and growth rearing. They even get a traditional allotted amount from the farmers, which for the most part is all they need, meaning it is not that important for most of their lives. Because of cultivation, it's possible that the berries would not even need to be concentrated to become a powerful mind-controlling drug. It is only going to take another 100 generations of personal selection, 100 generations of the plant of personal selection to do it. In a few hundred years, they may not even care about tradition, just the Amber Ogia. If the inbreeding, not breeding, and medical problems don't wipe them out first. And that's what we got. Bye! Comment, subscribe, and like. Don't be rude to me. Bye!